Hello, everyone. Coach Keeley, Steadfast Baseball, Steadfast Podcast, Episode 4. Welcome back. Just wanted to talk about coaches that I have played with and my experiences as a collegiate athlete. I've experienced so many different coaches from the youth level, high school, into college that now as a coach myself, I've taken little bits and pieces from each and every one and putting all those together in addition to my experience as a baseball player really has shaped the way I coach and the way I share my knowledge with my players. And it's really been eye-opening as far as me translating all this information from a player now to a coach. It's challenging, especially talking to a 6 or 7 year old who's probably never played baseball in his life. So it's a learning curve. It's not for everyone, but once I got the hang of it, my first year of coaching, it really made me love coaching and mentoring young people to play this game that I love, and sharing that passion and seeing the passion grow in youth players is heartwarming. That I made an impact on somebody else's life, and that I now planted the seed of baseball in them, and they can pass that on forever. And it's really humbling. It's really gratifying. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to coach people, coach young people, and just wanted to chat about what types of coaches I liked, what type of coach I didn't like. And I want to start by talking about what I do like. Um, when I was in junior college in Monterey, my pitching coach, I'm going to shout his name out because he's probably one of my top favorite coaches of all time, Coach Vince Herring. He's probably still there, getting after it. But he had a straightforwardness about him, very brutally honest. He was funny, he was motivating, and definitely taught me a lot about the mental side of pitching. The key story I kind of want to focus on is that on road trips, right? We would all get into these vans and drive to our destination. Um, and I was assigned to his van. But at first, this is like my freshman year. At first, there was, um, people switched co-pilot seats, right? Sitting shotgun, and nobody wanted to sit shotgun with Coach Vinny. Every time we went into the car, to the van to drive to our baseball field, he would only listen to sports radio, and it put us all to sleep. And he hated that. He hated when we were on our way to a game, only like half an hour maybe away, 45 minutes up to an hour away, and we were all crashed out in the van. And this one time he was just so over it, you know, talking about preparation, how we're not prepared for the game, how we're not mentally focused, how our minds are chill. We're chill before the game. I mean, being chill is fine, but there's a sort of laziness when you're sleeping. You want to be focused, you want to be ready, but you also want to be geared up and ready to go. Once you step off that van into the other school's field or their property, that's when the game starts, really, before the game even happens. And he really drilled it into us that we should never fall asleep um, on the van ride, in the car ride going to a game. So one day I was assigned shotgun, and I was like scared not to fall asleep, but it taught me to stay focused for a game. It taught me, um, you know, in order for me to stay awake, I would chat with him. I would talk story with him. We would listen to the talk radio. We would talk about what they were talking about on the radio. But just that just that alone, just that little story alone kind of gives you a little sneak peek into his thinking and the preparedness, right? Mentally prepared. He really pounded that mindset part of pitching. Beside teaching me how to throw my best out pitch that I've ever learned in my life, which was a changeup, he also taught me how to be a reliever. And I really did fall in love with that role as a reliever because starters, they have their routine, pregame routine, and that's set. You have a nice little time frame before the game to get prepared. You do whatever you need to do, and then you get right into the game. But as a reliever, you really have to be ready at all times, any situation, any given moment. So your preparation has to be synced up to what's going on in the game. And you really have to be paying attention to hitters, to situations. And I think being a reliever got me into that mode where I always got to be ready for anything. If we got the lead, if we don't have the lead, with runners on, with no runners on. So, also, my favorite thing about being a relief pitcher is that if you come into a game and there's runners on base that aren't yours, 2 outs, and you got to get that last out, it's really like a do or die. Like, you got to come into the game pissing fire, almost mad, but still focused and under control. But getting that last out, getting out of the inning unscathed, is like the best feeling ever. It's like you're coming in like a janitor ready to clean stuff up. And getting that out or getting out of that inning saves your team. It motivates your team. It pumps your team up. Like, bro, this guy, he got my back. I'm gonna get his back right in this bottom half of the inning with some runs, some hit support, some run support. So that's what I kind of loved about learning from Coach Vinny, is that there's a certain tenacity, there's a certain preparedness, there's a certain mindset you have to have as not just a pitcher but just as a baseball player. And coaches who prepare you in that way really have a a, a perspective on building a foundation of just how you think, right? How you approach situations, not just on the field, but if you're a player who can take that aspect of coaching into your life, it really does help you think about how you approach life. If I'm going to school, how do I approach this test? Well, before the test, I had a few assignments I gotta take. I gotta note take. I gotta remember. I gotta study in order to be successful on my test. And using that aspect of mindset of preparation, it helps. It helps a lot. And as a coach now, I really pound that preparedness. First of all, coming to the field, I want to see my players suited up. I want to see my shirts tucked in, hats straight, belt, pants with a belt loop and a belt. Because if you have a belt loop on your pants and you don't got no belt, we running. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's just a little responsibility, accountability aspect to even just your appearance. You got your water bottle, you got your bag. Do you show up to the dugout and you just leave all your stuff on the bench? No, put your bag outside the dugout, get your bat in its situated area, get your water bottle underneath the bench so your teammates can walk through the dugout cleanly without stepping all over your stuff. I mean, it's really small things that um, make a big difference as far as the flow of your team. And that's what I like to see in just coming to the field, you know. But all the other skill stuff, I know those things take time. So patience has been something that I've learned, especially with working young kids. And yeah, um, preparation is the only thing you really can control, and not really expecting um, results, right? We're not trying to be results based. We're trying to be process based, and the process starts with preparation. But Coach Vinny was a great coach. I learned a lot from him about pitching, about being a baseball player, about life. Next, bad, bad coaches, right? You trust that coaches have the best intentions for you, which all coaches really, deep down, they do, I'm sure. But there's good coaches and there's bad coaches as well. Um, I'm not going to name names for this next section, but there are some characteristics about bad coaches that I don't I took away from, but I'm not implementing that in my coaching style. And one thing that I didn't like about certain coaches is that certain coaches want individual success, whether it's for themselves or for their program, but they just want to win. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. But I think focusing on your record, or um, how you are viewed as a coach, shouldn't be the focus of being a coach. It should really be focused on developing players, even at the collegiate level. If you're a collegiate coach, you should be preparing your players for the next level. I mean, that's what I try to do with my kids now. I'm trying to prepare my 8U kids, coach pitch kids, to play kid pitch, to play at the next level, and so on and so forth, high school level and beyond. All these skills, all these practices, all these routines that we go through, this is what you're going to expect at every level later on. So start now, start young, and do those little things. But when a coach focuses on certain things that aren't team related, aren't um, you know progression based, it's not good. It's not good for certain players. And being straightforward. I like straightforwardness from a coach. If I'm doing something wrong, I want to be told that I'm doing something wrong. I guess it doesn't really matter how I'm being told, whether it's a FU or a, whatever, but it it has to be shared that, I need to correct something. There are ways about going about that, but Um, the straightforwardness, you know, I hate finding out from my teammates or from other coaches that, I'm not liked, or that I'm not doing good and they don't like me, or, some stuff like that. So there's a part of my coaching style now, I feel like, has to be the openness to talk about the tough things with players, as far as corrections being made, or hey, pay attention, let's get focused, let's get ready. um, Maybe stopping practice to call a team meeting real quick, like, hey, you know what, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about running hard through first. A few of you are getting this, a few of you aren't getting this, but we got to hammer that down. And that is a big thing. Clear communication with players. um, but yeah, I mean, my journey has taken me from the middle of the Pacific to the middle of America, and um, covering all types of playing styles, coaching styles, and I really gained a lot of perspective as far as baseball. But there was a certain point after my uh, after transferring to, so in Monterey, I was at a JC, and then I went off to Oklahoma to play at an NAIA school, and um, the experience ended on a bad note. Um, I I stopped playing because of a life situation that happened to my family. So I had to take a step back, and the coaches there didn't like that, but they let me do what I had to do anyway. And when I came back, there was talk about it, that I wasn't really invited the next year. So I left, um, not knowing my future, and I just kind of hung it up from there, because at that time I wasn't mature enough to seek out other options. I wasn't mature enough to bite the bullet and say, hey, I want to try something different. I gotta take a step back and look at it another way. um, so I don't regret it, because it has brought me to where I am today as a coach. And I look back on those experiences, and I take what I can from it and learn, grow. And it's interesting because years later, right? Years later, after it's all said and done, no baseball, no active playing for me. I started a family, and my son got to the age where he can play baseball, and we registered him. And it's weird. My wife, she brought it up to me. She got an email from the league saying that they were looking for coaches, and at the time I was like, I'm good. I'm good. But after careful consideration, and talking with my wife, and she really motivated me, inspired me to get back into it. Not just to coach my son, but I think to spark that fire in me as far as baseball goes, because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge to share, and I feel like I have a lot of experiences to share, and this has brought that to Steadfast baseball. Like, why am I doing this, right? Why is Steadfast baseball a thing? Like, what came about from developing this um this page, or what have you. But yeah, it's kind of a little intro to where I started, um, where I came from, why coaching is important to me now, and what I've learned from previous coaches in my past. But it's great. I'm excited for the future. I'm stoked to continue to have the opportunity to share my knowledge with, my one-on-one lessons, with my rec ball coaching, sharing the knowledge with my son, seeing him grow and seeing him learn to love baseball. He might not love it just yet. He likes to play it for sure. I see that, um, but it's a day-to-day thing, and just continuing to feed that fire, continuing to motivate him, not just with the baseball skills, but mindset, mental toughness, mental you know preparedness for anything, really. um but yeah, thank you for joining me. Episode 4. Stay steadfast, y'all.